please state your name? I think the reporter knows how to spell it.
Todd Allen Kendhammer.
How old are you, Mr. Kendhammer?
47.
And where were you born?
La Crosse, Wisconsin.
And were you raised in La Crosse?
Yes, I was.
Have you lived here all your life?
Yes, I have.
Where'd you go to school?
I went to Logan High School, Logan Middle School.
And when did you graduate from high school?
1988.
What were the names of your parents?
Robert and Patricia Kendhammer.
And has your dad passed away?
Yes.
Is your mom still living?
Yes, she is.
Is she here in the courtroom?
She's sitting in the second row.
After high school, well, while you were in high school, did you become employed?
Yes, I did.
Where'd you become employed?
A1 Glass Company.
And what'd you do there when you were in high school?
I started cleaning, sweeping floors, washing vehicles, stuff like that.
And what year of high school did you start working at?
I started in my freshman year, 1984.
After you graduated high school, what'd you do?
I was employed full-time by A1 Glass.
And when you were employed full-time, what were your duties?
I started as an auto glass and residential glass installer and a shop technician.
So as an auto glass and residential glass installer, tell the jury about what those duties entail.
Well, an auto glass installer, A1 Glass both does mobile and shop auto glass. They cover a very wide range, so I was on the road a lot, just over the day, not overnight, installing windshields mobily for people that worked or didn't want to leave their home to get their glass put in.
After you served for a while, well, let me go back. For how long did you stay at A1?
I was at A1 8 to 10 years.
And while you were there, did you always just stay on as a glass installer?
No, I eventually became an officer in the company.
And what was your office in the company? Do you remember?
I don't remember what it was. For sure, I was shop manager, and then I got an office title or a position.
Was there a time when you discussed becoming an owner of the company?
Yes.
And just very briefly, what was that about?
The owner at the time was wanting to sell out, retire, and I and another guy he was gonna be the office person, I was gonna be the shop person, and we split the duties, and that's when we became officers in the company.
And did you eventually become an owner?
I did not become an owner.
And why was that?
The owner was having an affair with one of the office girls, and it was bringing the morale down of the company, and I, being the shop end of the company, brought it to the attention, and I got terminated.
After you left A1, where'd you go next?
I went to Glass Service Center in La Crosse.
And how long were you there?
I was there 3 years the first time.
And what'd you do there?
Same duties, auto glass, storefronts, residential glass, shop glass.
And you said you were 3 years the first time. What occasioned your leaving after 3 years? There was the dad owned the company. There was 4 brothers involved in it, and they were buying the dad out. So it was 4 bosses that were there taking the position of 1. And it was too hard to work for 4 people that were in the company all at the same time. So when you left, where'd you go after that?
From the first time I left Glass Service Center, I went to UPS.
And what'd you do for UPS?
I was a package delivery driver.
And how long were you there?
I was at UPS for 2 years, approximately 2 years.
And what occasioned your leaving there?
I had a family, I had young kids, We wouldn't start till 9 in the morning, 9:30 sometimes, and you wouldn't get done till 7:30 at night. And I didn't like for the family life, it wasn't for me.
So after you left there, where'd you go?
I went back to Glass Service Center.
And how long did you stay there?
A year.
And was it the same duties that you'd previously had there?
Yes.
And why'd you leave after a year?
Same reasons, just with the 4 people trying to run it, and I had a different job offer.
So where'd you go for that different job offer?
I went to Linex in West Salem.
And what is Linex?
It's a truck accessory spray-on bed liner.
Spray-on bed liner?
Yes.
Did you say? And,
yeah.
And what did you do there?
I dealt with customers, did the spray-on bed liners, put truck accessories on, stuff like that.
Did there come a time where your duties there began to change?
Yes. I had so many people wanting me to still do glass, and so I started a small glass shop out of the Linex building. I rented the spot from him.
And what did you do with that glass shop?
Everything, auto glass, primarily auto glass, but we did every kind of residential glass, storefront glass, and auto.
Did there come a time when you partnered with somebody else in this venture?
Yes, I did.
You want to tell the jury about that?
We lived in town at the time. The neighbor that I had at the time owned an exhaust shop on the south side of La Crosse. He knew I needed to expand. He came over one night and said, "Hey, I need to get out of La Crosse, the south side of La Crosse." So he asked if I would consider building a shop together with him. So we partnered up. With my equity and everything, we built a building in West Salem, and we combined the 2 businesses.
How long were you involved with that business?
I was involved with that business after we built the new building for about 3 years.
And after 3 years, did you leave?
Yes, I did.
Why'd you leave?
When he and I agreed to do the business, it was he and I, no wives. His wife started getting involved. We just had business differences, and so he bought me out.
And after that, where'd you go?
I went back to Glass Service Center for 1 more year.
And after a year, where did you go from there?
To Crown Cork and Seal.
And how long were you at Crown Cork and Seal as of September 16, 2016?
9 years.
What did you do at Crown Cork and Seal?
I started as a general laborer, which is just cleaning, running, chasing lines out when you're changing labels, painting, whatever, they just, helping out in the plant. And then I went up to spray machines. It's a progression job, so you got to work your way up in the plant. I went to spray machines, and then from there I got to become a line maintainer.
And what does a line maintainer do?
A line maintainer's primary duties are we make aluminum pop cans, and they come in a roll of coil aluminum, and we punch it into a can, and then we decorate it to all the different Pepsi, Coke, whatever label we're doing that day. And I was running the decorator, and then if something would go down on the line, our duty was to, if we had 2 people in the decorator, one of us would leave to go get the line back up.
And when did you become the line maintainer?
April. Oh, it was 3 years. It took me 3 years to get fully progressed.
Okay. And at what point were you fully progressed in the position?
I want to say it was April of 2016.
And when you were fully progressed, did that entail getting a raise?
Yes.
And when you got that raise, what was your hourly rate?
On the day hourly rate, it was $29 an hour.
You say the day hourly rate, why?
Because nights was $1 more premium.
When you were working at Crown in that position, how many days on, how many days off did you have?
We worked a 4-on, 4-off schedule. So if you work Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday of this week, you'd have Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday off, and then you work Tuesday through Friday the following week. So every week you rolled back a day in your schedule.
And were those 8-hour days?
There were 4 12-hour days.
Was overtime available?
Yes, it was.
And how does one get overtime?
it goes by how many days you've worked. So as far as when they come out to ask for overtime, if you were the low man on the pole, you would get asked first. And you could take one or all 4 days. You could take whichever days you want. The first 3 days were premium pay. It was time and a half. The last day was double time pay. So regardless what day you took, you could take 1, 2, 3, or 4. You could take the last. First and last was real common.
Did you ever work overtime?
Yes, I did.
How frequently?
It would depend if it was in the middle of the week or not. Very seldom would I work a weekend for overtime.
Was there something there called shift cycle pay?
Just 1 second, Mr. Hurley. Somebody has their cell phone on. It needs to be confiscated. Turn it over to the deputy. Thank you. You may continue.
Was there something called shift cycle pay?
Yes, there was.
And what is that?
Well, at Crown Cork and Seal, because we run 24 hours a day, normally 365 days a year, you have an A crew and a B crew. And they're 12-hour shifts, so you work 6:30 in the morning till 6:30 in the evening, and that's a day shift, and that would be the Monday through Thursday to start. And then you'd have the Friday through Monday, which would be the B crew. Every other year, you could switch nights to days, but every 2 years, you could switch A crew to B crew. If you, every January, because nights and days would switch, you may get bumped nights to days. So if you got bumped from your normal shift, say I was on B1 and I got bumped to B2, if you didn't take it, they would offer you a day off between there. So you could cycle your pay and get through that, or you could work straight through. If you chose to work straight through, you got cycle pay. So you get all your overtime pay for the next week, which would be time and a half, time and a half, time and a half, and double time. So that's what cycle pay was.
There was a question asked of you during your interview at the La Crosse County Sheriff's Office having to do with why you were calling in or intended to call in on the 16th of September in 2016. Do you recall those questions?
Yes, I do.
On the 16th of September in 2016, did you intend to call in?
Yes.
Now, what does it mean at Crown to call in?
If you don't get individual holidays, you have to take your vacations. You have to take your vacations in a cycle, which is your 4 days off, or your 4 days on would be your vacation time. So you can't use them individually.
Does that mean there was a minimum of 4 days which you had to claim as vacation if you took vacation?
Yes.
You could you take 1 day at a time?
No.
Was there a point system at Crown?
Yes, there was a point system.
And how did the point system work with respect to taking a day off?
Normally your day shift supervisor and night shift supervisor would come in an hour to an hour and a half early for their shift. If you wanted to call in for your shift, you normally would wait for your supervisor to come in, which was an hour and a half before your shift, or right at the start of the shift. So if you wanted to use a sick day, you'd call your night supervisor. They had a call line you could call, but it never got back to the supervisor, so we just called direct to the supervisor's office to call in for a sick day.
And if you called in for a sick day, did that give you a point?
If you called in within 2 hours of your shift, so if your shift started at 6:30 and you called in by 8:30, you got 1 point. If it was after 8:30, you got 2 points.
And how many points were you permitted to accumulate before there was any discipline?
At 5 points, you got a verbal warning. At 6 points, you got a written warning. At 7 points, you got a meeting pending suspension.
why did you choose to call in a sick day on September 16 as opposed to taking a day off to which you might otherwise be entitled?
By taking the sick day versus the cycle off day, I would have got time and a half, and double time for my next 3 days.
And on September 16, was it your intention to come back to work on Saturday, Sunday, and Monday?
Yes.
Now, on September 16, were you working day shift or night shift?
I was on day shift.
There was some question of you during an interview about Barb being upset about your working night shifts. Do you recall that?
I do recall that.
Was there about to be a time that you were going to go on the night shift?
Yes, there was.
Can you explain to the jury the circumstances of your going on the night shift?
Yes. As I explained, there's your seniority will hold you where your position is. There's certain times of the year when a new maintainer will be put into the pool, you may be bumped from one crew to the other to keep the crews even as far as knowledge and experience goes. Well, in this particular case, when I first got into maintainer group, I worked nights for a while because I couldn't hold seniority. In this particular case, was a younger fellow that was in the plant, got into maintainer. He had 2 very small children, and he had until January that he was going to be bumped to nights. And with amongst talk at the plant, it was going to very much inconvenience his daycare with these 2 little kids. So I went home and talked it over with my wife, and we were in the same situation at one time. And we said for them couple months, we could do the night thing. And we had agreed that I could take his position, let him stay in my day shift, and I would take the night position for those couple of months.
Was this something that Barb had agreed to?
Yes.
I want to talk to you about Barb. When did you meet Barb Kendhammer?
I met Barb in 1986.
And what was Barb's maiden name?
Barbara Carol Adams.
And by the way, are Barb's parents still alive?
Barb's mother is.
And is she here?
Yes, she is. She's sitting in the front row.
What were the circumstances, or under what circumstances did you meet Barb?
I was at her brother's wedding at the time when I met Barb.
And who was her brother?
David Adams, the guy sitting right next to Barb's mom and his mom.
And why were you at the wedding?
He married my cousin. David married my cousin Rhonda.
And tell the jury about meeting Barb on that day.
I wasn't a real outgoing, into sports and stuff. Was more of the, doing things in the shop and like that. And we went to the wedding because we have a very tight-knit family. And Barb was at her junior prom, and she came in with a couple of her friends. And when she walked in, I went to my cousin Rhonda and asked her who it was. There was something, just the way she was. I talked to her a little bit. It was a picture book saying, just one of these things where you know immediately that's the girl you want. That's the girl I want to talk to. I want to get to know this girl. And that's the feeling that I had the first time I met Barb.
How old were you?
16. I told you I was 14, but I mistake that with when I started at A1 Glass.
And what year in school were you then?
1986.
Yeah, but sophomore or
Junior.
How long was it before you learned that Barb had a boyfriend?
I knew it right away.
How'd you know that?
I asked Rhonda.
And did that deter you in pursuing Barb?
No, because I wasn't pursuing her as a girlfriend at the time. I wanted to get to know her, see who she was, how she was. I had a feeling that I wanted to, but I did not pursue it like that at first.
So what'd you do?
Just hung out with her, did stuff together.
What kinds of things did you do together?
We went mud bogging, we went four-wheeling, snowmobiling, walking, talking, go down to Riverside, a lot of stuff like that. We had a lot of stuff in common.
For how long did you remain friends with her while she was dating another guy?
3 years.
Did there come a time when her relationship with the other guy ended?
Yes.
What happened then?
We still were, like we always were, friends and didn't get jump into nothing. It was shortly after that when we started dating. It was probably almost a year after that before we started dating.
When you started dating, did that change things?
Not really. It changed how I would talk to her and express to her, as far as, how, when you say you love her and like that, that changed. But the feelings I had for her, I didn't have to impress myself for her, and she didn't have to impress herself for me. We had a very mutual relationship.
Did there come a time when you asked her to marry you?
Yes.
When was that?
Mid-1990.
And when were you married?
1991.
What was the day?
August 3rd.
Before I forget, are you left-handed or right-handed?
Right-handed.
And was Barb left-handed or right-handed?
Right-handed.
Your Honor, we have marked exhibits 265 through 270, and I believe the prosecution and the defense have agreed that they're admissible.
Is that correct?
Yes.
265 through 270
That's correct, Your Honor.
will be received.
I'll show you what's been marked as exhibit 265. Can you see that? That's better or worse? Are you able to see that?
Yes.
Who is that?
My wife and I.
And when was that taken? Approximately what year?
That was in 1988-89.
How can you remember that well?
It was the 89 because that's when I started dating her.
Do you remember what event that occurred?
Yes.
What event was it?
It was her birthday.
After you got married, did you have any children?
Yes. I had two.
2 children. What are their names?
Jessica and Jordan.
And how old is Jordan?
Jordan is 23.
And how old is Jessica?
Jessica is 24. 25.
Is Jessica married?
Yes, she is.
And who did she marry?
Michael Service.
And how do you spell service?
Servivis.
And your son Jordan, is he married?
No, he's not.
Throughout this, has Jordan had a girlfriend?
He has, yes.
And what is her name?
Jordan.
So how do you distinguish between the two?
Boy Jordan, girl Jordan.
Does Jordan have a nickname as well?
Yes, he does.
And what's his nickname?
George.
Does girl Jordan share that nickname?
Yes, she does.
I'm going to show you a picture that is Exhibit 266. Do you recognize it?
Yes, I do.
What is that?
Our Christmas card.
Do you know from about what year?
A year ago. for 2 years now.
Is that you and Barb in the center?
Yes, it is.
And who is that to the left in the picture?
To the left would be Jordan and Jordan,
And to the right, who is that?
Michael, Jessica, and Carlin,
And who's Colin?
our granddaughter.
Last year, did you celebrate your 25th wedding anniversary with Barb?
Was it last year or 2 years?
Well, you've got to tell me. Last year was 2016.
Yes, so it was last year, yes.
I'm going to show you Exhibit 267. What's that?
Cake at our anniversary party.
Now, had you planned an anniversary party?
No,
How did that come about?
our kids and our moms and brothers, I think, were involved maybe, surprised us with a party.
And I'm going to show you Exhibit 268. Is that you and Barb?
Yes,
When was that taken?
at Michael and Jessica's wedding.
Show you Exhibit 269. Is that you and Barb?
Yes.
When was that photograph?
After our anniversary party, we just took a drive and we went up to Superior and all around and just took a week and didn't make no plans, just went where we wanted to do, and we went hiking and did whatever we wanted to do.
And we're going to show you Exhibit 270. Who's that?
My wife and I and our granddaughter.
Were you pleased about having a granddaughter?
Yes, we were.
Having grandchildren's not a bad gig, is it?
No, it's not.
I'd like for you to describe for the jury a typical day for you and Barb in 2016.
If I worked or if I was off.
What would be typical?
Well,
Let's do one of each.
okay. If I didn't work, I always got up with Barb when she was getting ready. I would help. I'd make oatmeal. If she was going to eat breakfast, she'd eat oatmeal or yogurt or honey and toast. And I would always make that when she got close to being ready. I would always make her breakfast for her. We'd get ready. We'd talk a little bit if she was ready early. I would take her to work. And then I would do different things while she was at work. And when she got done with work, if she had something that she didn't like at work for lunch that day, we'd always go get a little snack or something after work. And then we'd either go home, take a walk, go home, make supper, go home, mow lawn, go home and eat supper, and then go get ice cream. And we'd sit down, maybe take another walk after dinner, and then we'd just watch a little TV and go to bed. If I worked, when she got done with work, I would always get up with her in the morning still, but I would be gone before she'd get ready and stuff. I always called her. I knew when her breaks were, so I would either take break when her breaks were and call her or text her, or when she got done with work, I'd always call her a little bit after 2 o'clock, see how her day was and talk and stuff. She always had a big dinner made when I got home. Always had something big to eat. It wasn't ever, a frozen meal or like that. It was always something. She loved to cook. I'd come home from work, we'd eat dinner. Usually we'd take a walk, and then that would be our night. Sometimes we'd go for ice cream, but usually when I was off work, we'd do the ice cream thing. That was our usual routine.
In 25 years of marriage, except when you were each at work, were you ever apart?
Very seldom.
Can you remember what times you might have been apart that you weren't at work?
Well, deer hunting was the only time I was. There was 11 of us that went deer hunting in a cabin, and
When you say 11 of us. Who would these people be? Are they relatives or friends?
Yes, all relatives. My brother and his kids, my son Jordan, another cousin and their kids. It was all family. we'd go deer hunting Friday. We'd go over to the cabin, get a fire, make some dinner or something, drink a little beer, whatever. Well, Friday night, I would go home for an hour or two, just talk to Barb, see how her day was. And if she had dinner, I'd eat a little bit with her. If she didn't, she'd go to the holiday fair or something. And then I'd go back over to deer camp. And then Saturday night, I would go home again. But I was away from her all day.
Did the other married men in the party do this too?
No. Nope.
Were they very understanding of your going home on deer hunting weekend?
It was deer camp, I had to put the shoulder pads on. I got a lot of grief for it, but I did it for 25 years and never had a problem with it.
Other than deer camping when you were at work, were you ever apart from Barb?
No.
Did you do everything together?
Yes, we did.
If you had to shovel snow, what would she do?
She'd be right there with me.
If you had to mow the lawn, what would she do?
She'd pick up the weed eater and weed eat right with me.
If you were, by the way, I didn't ask before, did you, after you went to Crown, did you continue to work in auto glass?
Yes.
Is this something you did on the side?
Yes.
If you were replacing someone's auto glass, would Barb be there with you?
Yes, she would. We did everything in shop. In-house,
Were there things you did for Barb that were unusual?
Yes.
What were those things?
I would, if it snowed, I would take her car down, halfway down the driveway for her so she didn't have to go down the steep part at the top. And if I was home, I would actually take her down, take her to work. But if I had to work, I'd take her car halfway down and leave it there, and she had remote start, so she wouldn't have to go down the driveway by herself. Barb was a real clean freak, and a big pet peeve of Barb's was when guys stood up to pee, and I respected her enough to sit down at home to pee.
For 25 years?
Yes, I did for 25 years.
Did you always vacation together?
Yes.
If you went to the grocery store, did you go to the grocery store together?
Yes.
If you went to the bank, did you go to the bank together?
Unless she went after work, yes, I went with her.
Did you go for drives together?
Yes.
How frequently did you do that?
We did it when I first met Barb. Her mom and dad went for drives almost every Sunday, and we went a lot with them. And when Barb's dad passed away, we kind of continued the tradition. Her brother would go with sometimes, and we went for drives quite often.
Did you go camping together?
Yes.
How frequently did you camp?
We camped quite often in the summer.
Did you both enjoy camping?
Yes, very much.
Let me just ask you briefly, because I'll come back to it. We heard in interviews of you reference to Cranfest.
Yes.
Can you tell the jury, if they don't know already, what Cranfest is and what it was for you and Barb?
Cranfest is a yearly event up in Warrens, Wisconsin. It's thousands and thousands of craft people. There's different foods, but it's mainly all crafts. The whole town of Warrens shuts down for Cranfest. It's a Friday, Saturday, Sunday deal. And then every year Sunday, they have a big parade. Barb's family went even before I met Barb. And when I met Barb, it was something that we started doing. Cranfest for us was a yearly thing. We went up the weekend before because we stayed in the county park. And if you didn't get up there beforehand, you wouldn't get a campsite. So we always went up the week before to set up camp and have the camper there, and we'd leave it all week.
Is this something you did alone with Barb, or did you do it with other couples?
We did it with several other couples.
Were the couples all family, or was it family and friends?
There was some friends, but mostly family.
And the weekend of September 16 in 2016, was that Cranfest, or was it the weekend before Cranfest?
The weekend before.
And on that day, was it your intent? Tell the jury what you intended to do that day.
Normally what we do is anytime we go camping, we'll when Barb's done getting ready, she'll put all her bathroom stuff in a little tote and either leave it in the bathroom on the counter or in the hallway. I'll take her to work. I'll get everything else tidied up, and either I'll take the camper down and pick her up from work and we'll go, or I'll go down and pick her up. She'll come put the last few things in the camper, and then we go. That's how we normally do it on a camping weekend.
And did you intend to call in within 2 hours of the commencement of your shift that day?
Yes, I've always called in if I was going to call in within 2 hours.
Let me ask you something about yours and Barb's finances in 2016. You recall being asked about that on the day before Barb's funeral?
Yes.
How much, what was your, on September 16, 2016, what was your annual salary from Crown?
$85,000.
And did Barb work full-time at the school?
It was considered part-time because it was only 9 months out of the year, and it was only 6 hours a day.
And if you annualized her salary at the school, approximately what would that have been in 2016?
$15,000.
Did you have a house payment?
Yes, we did.
Do you remember roughly what that house payment was?
$402. $402, yes.
Did you have any car payments?
We did. We had one car payment.
And do you remember roughly what that was?
$248.
Other than the payment on your house and your car, did you have any other regular payments?
Just our bills, NSP and stuff.
And you were asked about bills that the police were finding as they were searching your home. Who as between you and Barb, took on the responsibility to pay bills as they came in?
Barb did.
Now, did the two of you sit down and talk about finances?
Yes.
How frequently did you do that?
Well, anytime there was if I got a raise or a new bill come into the factor, we were on a budget every month. Every week, every month, we had a budget.
Did you budget yourselves?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Barb took care of all the house finances as far as anything that occurred with the house. And anytime something new, like when we bought the car, we'd sit down with a budget, and we had mad money, we had grocery money, and we'd sit down and say, okay, if we want to take the extra money we're putting on the house, a little bit of that, and put on the car, and that's how we would do it.
When you say extra money you're putting on the house, what do you mean extra money?
We always paid ahead on everything.
So on September 16, 2016, were you paid ahead on your mortgage?
Yes, we were just over a year ahead.
And were you paid ahead on your automobile?
Yes, we were just over a year ahead.
There was some testimony. Well, let me withdraw that. Do you know what it means to flip a house?
Yes.
What does it mean?
You go in and purchase a house, hopefully at a lower price, remodel it, do what you want to do, and then sell it to make money on it.
And did you ever do that?
Yes, we did.
I asked you if you did, and you said, yes, we did. Is this something you did with Barb?
Yes.
Tell the jury a little bit generally about what you and Barb did together with respect to these houses.
The first one we did was a complete foreclosure. We'd go together, we'd look at it, we determined if it was probable or not, the neighborhood and stuff. And then Barb was my tear this wall out, tear that wall out, we'll do this, we'll do that. And then we determined if we wanted to purchase it and how much we wanted to pay for it. And if it was something we could get, and we did, then we worked together on it, on demo and remodel. And she would always tidy everything up with, like staging it and colors and like that.
How many times did you do this?
We did 6 houses.
And I believe I heard in the interview of you at the sheriff's office that one was a new home?
Yes, 2 of them were new homes.
And when you say new home, does this mean that you built them from the ground up?
Yes.
Each time that you did this, were you successful in making a profit?
We weren't out to get rich off it. It was more of a hobby to keep us together and do things together. And we would make a little bit of money off them, yes.
On September 16, 2016, how would you rate your credit?
Well, I had a $450,000 line of credit at one bank. And at the credit union we could walk in and get, if we wanted to buy a new car or whatever we wanted, it wasn't a problem. We had no problem with anything.
On all those occasions that you were either remodeling or building a new home, did you have to go to the bank to get credit in order to remodel?
No, we just had to call and tell them what we were doing.
And would they give you the loan?
Yes.
Were you ever turned down for a loan?
No.
On September 16, 2016, did you ever perceive that you and Barb were in financial difficulty?
No.
I want to turn your attention to the lunchroom at Crown. How many folks were on your shift?
25 to 28.
And was that true for the whole time you were at Crown, that you'd have approximately that number of people on your shift?
Yes.
Do you get to know the people on your shift pretty well?
Yes.
How frequently do they have breaks at Crown?
Well, some of them are hour on, hour off.
And when breaks are taken, where do people take their breaks?
Either in the lunchroom or the locker room.
And at lunchtime, where do people take their lunch?
Some take it in the lunchroom, very few take it in the locker room.
Is there a lot of talk in the lunchroom?
It's all talk.
Do you recall a time in 2016 when you had a conversation with people in the lunchroom at Crown about a windshield?
Yes, I do.
What is it you remember about that?
Well, the windshield had been sitting in the garage at home, so I needed to get rid of it. So I went into...
Let me stop you there. Why was it sitting in the garage at home?
I had ordered it for one of Jordan's friends, and something happened with the truck, and he couldn't afford the windshield in it. So I had it sitting in the garage.
And was it past the time that you could...
I could not return it, no.
And when you say it was sitting in the garage, how many garages did you have?
We have an attached garage, and then we have a detached garage.
And which garage was it sitting in?
It was in the attached garage.
And why was it there?
Because the detached garage is kind of our place to... I was painting a skid steer at the time. We paint and grind and weld over there.
And were you concerned about damaging the windshield if it was in the detached garage?
Yes.
Who claimed title to the attached garage?
Barb.
And why is that?
She always washed her car. We always waxed her car in there. That's where you came in when you went up to the house. You'd come through that garage. And we had the floor all epoxied, and it was always kept pretty nice, pretty clean.
Did the fact that that windshield was there for some time bother Barb?
It concerned her, yes, because she would have to move it. She always squeegeed the floor. We'd wash it and squeegee the floor. And when we do that, we'd do all the way out to the perimeters of the floor. And with the windshield sitting there, I had a little rug that it would sit on. And she would have to have me move it, or she would try to move it. So, yes, it did concern her.
Did there come a time when she asked you to get rid of it?
Yes.
And when was that in relation to September 16 of 2016?
It was a while before. I mean, she mentioned it that day or 2 days before or something, but it was a month or two before that she'd mentioned it too.
When she mentioned things to you like that, did you always address what concerned her?
I tried to.
You said that she mentioned it 2 days before the 16th?
I can't say for sure what day it was.
But you thought she also mentioned it a couple months before?
Yes.
As a result of whatever she said a couple months before, did you have a conversation in the lunchroom at Crown?
Yes, I did.
And what was that about?
Well, Crown consists of mostly, there's a lot of people at Crown that drive trucks. I would say probably 40% of the employees drive trucks. And I went into Crown, the lunchroom, and mentioned that I had this windshield I wanted to get rid of. And that's how the conversation came up.
Who do you recall was present that day?
I know for sure Justin Heim, Scott Torgerson for sure. And there was a couple other people, but I don't recall who they were.
And what is it that today you can recall about that conversation?
That Justin Heim engaged that he had somebody or was going to put it in for somebody, and he made the comment that any monkey could put a windshield in with urethane. And after he left the lunchroom, Scott Torgerson had brought it up that he knew somebody, and he mentioned somebody.
Do you remember the name of the person he mentioned?
It was Jerry Logging.
And is that something you remembered on September 16, 2016?
No.
Did there come a time when you moved that windshield out of the attached garage?
Yes.
When was that?
It was shortly after the accident.
And why'd you move it?
Because there were so many people coming to the house, and we were kind of congregating and stuff in the garage, and I just moved it over there so it wouldn't get broke.
When you say moved it over there, over where?
To that detached garage.
And on the day that the police executed the search warrants, where was that windshield?
I don't know. I don't remember. I moved it to the other garage, so it had to be in the detached garage.
Did you eventually get rid of it?
No.
I want to talk to you about the night before the accident on September 15th. Had you worked that day?
Yes, I did.
What time did you get off work?
6:30.
Did you have an exchange of text messages with your son-in-law, Michael Service?
Yes, I did.
What was that about?
Putting up a piece of sheetrock for him.
And why were you putting up the piece of sheetrock for him? What were they doing?
Well, we did a remodel on their kitchen and garage and added on to the living room area and the end of the kitchen and the garage.
Whose house was this on?
Michael and Jess.
Okay. When you say we did it, who's we?
Well, Michael and I and Barb and Jess.
And what do you remember texting him that on September 15th?
I don't remember what I texted him.
Do you remember what he texted you back?
Something to the effect that, don't worry about it, he would get it. It was about a piece of sheetrock.
Do you remember what you did that evening?
I went and put the piece of sheetrock up.
And after you put the piece of sheetrock up, what'd you do?
I don't remember. I went home.
When you came home at night, what was the usual routine with you and Barb in the evening after eating dinner?
If it was nice out, we'd go for a walk.
If it wasn't nice out, what would you do?
Watch TV, clean up and watch TV.
Anything unusual happen on the evening of the 15th that you can recall?
No.
Now, at that time, was your son Jordan attending school?
Yes, he was.
Where was he going to school?
UW Stevens Point.
And on that weekend of September 16, 17, 18, where was he?
He was home.
And when did he come home?
Thursday night.
So did he sleep in the house on Thursday night?
Yes.
And was he there in the morning on Friday morning?
Yes.
When you got up on September 16, what time did you get up?
Our usual time to get up was, I think, 6 o'clock.
Okay. What'd you do when you got up? What was your normal morning routine?
I would always get in the shower first while she was getting stuff ready. And it didn't take me long, so I'd be done. And then she would get in the shower. I would, like I say, start tinkering with breakfast for her. And then when she got done, she'd come out, eat a little breakfast, we'd talk a little bit, and then we'd get in the car and go.
And I know it's difficult sometimes to remember specific days, but on that morning, do you recall doing anything really out of the ordinary?
Just, we were messing with some stuff for the camper. Just getting some little things ready, put in the camper.
And do you recall anything concerning a plumber on that day?
I had Les Abel coming to look at my mother-in-law's well.
What was wrong with your mother-in-law's well?
Well, the pump kept kicking on, and we thought something was wrong with the pressure switch or something with one of the lines coming in.
And who arranged for a plumber to come and look at it?
I had arranged for Les Abel to come and look at it.
And what time was he coming out that day?
He had a job in Maderi that he had to go to first. And when he was done with that, he was going to call me and come over and look at it. So we didn't have a set time.
Did you communicate with your mother-in-law that morning?
Yes, I called my mother-in-law that morning and told her that he was coming sometime today.
I want to talk to you for a minute about Barb's mom, your mother-in-law. Where'd she live?
We lived up on the hayfield on the home. They have a little 30-acre hobby farm. And we had 2.8 acres. We built the house up on the hayfield just above where her mom lives. And her brother lived just up the road a little bit on the same one of the parcels.
So you and Barb's mom and Barb's brother all lived in the same vicinity?
Yes.
And how old is Barb's mom? And I apologize for being indelicate when I know she's in the courtroom.
Her mom would be 86.
Did you and Barb take on any responsibilities with respect to her mom?
Yes.
What were those responsibilities?
We would help with the lawn, help shovel snow, take her grocery shopping. Barb did all her bills. Anything that, if it was wintertime, her brother worked for the county, so he was gone a lot when it snowed. So we'd go on and shovel her walk and stuff.
And did Barb's brother Dave also take on responsibilities with respect to his mom?
Yes.
How frequently did you and Barb call her mom?
every day.
And did you call or did Barb call?
I called that morning.
But usually who called?
Usually it would be Barb calling.
Were the number of times that you called Barb's mom infrequent, or were they frequent?
It was frequent.
So that morning, why did you call Barb's mom?
Because I had the well guy coming. And I wanted to tell her that I had him coming so she knew it was taken care of.
Was it your intention to drive Barb to work that morning?
Yes, it was.
Now, did Barb usually drive to work by herself?
Not if I was off for the day. A lot of times I would take her.
And on that day, did you choose to do something on the way to taking Barb to work?
Yes, we did.
And what did you decide to do?
We were going to take a quick jog over Highway M and see if we could find that blue Ford pickup.
You heard all the tapes of your interviews that were played in the courtroom, is that correct?
Yes.
And you recall on at least one of those tapes telling people that you were looking for Justin Himes' place.
Yes.
Do you recall saying that you were headed to Holman?
Yes.
Do you recall another time saying that you were looking for a place near Long Coulee?
Yes.
Do you recall another time saying that you were looking for someone near Shufflebine Hill?
Yes.
So let me ask you, right? Is Long Coulee the same as Shufflebine Hill?
No, it's not.
Is Holman the same as Long Coulee?
Yes.
Is Holman the same as Shufflebine Hill?
No.
And do you know where Justin Heim lives?
No, I do not.
Why'd you say Justin Heim, Long Coulee, Holman?
When I watched those tapes and I watched that video, that's not me. It's me in the picture, but it's not me talking. It's not right state of mind talking in that. I wasn't thinking of where I was going or what I was doing. I was thinking of Barb.
Where were you headed that day, or where did you think you were headed?
To the bottom of the the Shufflebine Hill on the West Salem side.
How far is the bottom of Shufflebine Hill from the intersection of Highway M and Burgham Coulee?
I couldn't tell you. It's not, you mean in minutes or miles or?
Either one.
I would say it's maybe 8 to 10 minutes.
And if one were going northbound on Highway M, would one be going in the direction of Shufflebine Hill?
Yes.
What is that?
It's our Bubba mug.
We heard some testimony from one of Barb's co-workers about Barb having a preference for well water.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
So tell the jury how that would manifest itself with Barb.
Well, it was either Ice Mountain water or our well water. If you went out of town somewhere, we always had to buy a case or two of Ice Mountain water. When we went camping, we'd either take well water out of the fridge or we'd buy a gallon of Ice Mountain water. common example, when we go to Black River area, we'd always stop at the Senex right there on C and Black River, and they never had Ice Mountain water. So she would maybe get a tea if she couldn't get Ice Mountain water. It had to be Ice Mountain or well water.
And when she drank the water, the well water, what would she drink it out of?
The Bubba mug.
Now, is that the only Bubba mug that you guys had?
No, it's not.
How many did you have?
We have 3 of these, and I have a camouflage one that was the first one we initially got.
And did you get the camouflage one for yourself?
Yes.
How long were you able to hold on to it?
Oh, the camouflage one is probably 5 or 6 years old.
Well, what I meant by my question was, how long did you have it before it was taken away from you?
Well, I didn't. She took it to work every day. She used to take a little glass in it when the ice wouldn't stay in it. So then she started taking my camouflage Bubba mug.
And then after a while, did you get other ones?
Yes, it was a wrap that was on it, and from being washed and so old, the wrap was getting real faded. So we bought the silver and blue ones, or gray and blue ones.
Tell the jury about where she would take this with her.
Well, she took it to work every day. I would make if she was getting ready, I would make the water in there, put the ice in it for her, get it ready to go. If she went to work and forgot it, a lot of times she would call and see if I could pick it up for her and take it back to her. If we went on a ride, she would fill that mug and take it with us on a Saturday or a Sunday. She wouldn't take it out for dinner and stuff like that. But anytime we went for a ride or to work, she always had that mug.
And what would she do with it?
Sip on water.
When you say sip, did she wait until she was really thirsty and then sip?
No, she would just sip on it here and there. I don't think she ever finished it all.
Now, when you were riding in the Camry with her, was there a cup holder big enough for that?
No.
So where would she hold it usually?
She always had it on her lap.
Besides Barb's mom and her brother Dave, who else lived near you?
It'd be Joyce's nephew,
And who's that?
Doug and Diane Adams.
And who else lived near you?
Well, you mean as far as neighbors?
Yes.
Tom Harrelson, Barb Thompson, Kevin Bradbury.
And I'd like to ask you about Barb Thompson for a minute.
Okay.
Where'd she live?
She lived just back to Cooley a little bit from us. We live on a Cooley Road, and she lived just back to Cooley Road a little bit.
And how far away is that?
Well, her land joined our land right on the road. It wasn't very far.
When you say you lived on a Cooley Road, these folks are from La Crosse and probably know, but just in case, what's a Cooley Road?
A Cooley Road is a little branch of a road that comes off one of the main roads. There was 5 houses on this Cooley Road. And it's just a dead-end road is what it is.
Now, what was your relationship with your neighbor, Barb Thompson?
Her husband got sick probably 10 years ago, and Jordan and I and several other people had hunted back there for years. And when her husband got sick, we started helping them with the lawn. They had a big lawn, and we helped them with the driveway, and just got to know him real well with that by helping him out and stuff. And when her husband did pass, she always took care of the lawn then, but we did the driveway for her every winter. And then when she'd go away, we'd watch her house for her.
And was she gone often?
Yes.
Do you know where she would go?
She'd go to Africa for a while, and then she had 3 kids that got married and had grandkids, so she'd bounce around from their houses.
On September 16th, September 16 of 2016, had you engaged in discussions with Barb Thompson about the future of her property?
I don't know if it was September, but it was prior to that, yes.
Okay. Tell the jury a little bit about what your discussions were with
Well,
Mrs. Thompson.
we, as far as, repeat the question.
Well, did you talk to her about maybe buying the property?
Okay, so Barb Thompson had her property in a tree farm, and their main goal was her and her husband were going to retire off the tree farm. That was going to be their retirement. Her husband passed away, got sick with cancer and passed away. She was there alone. She tried keeping it up, but then when her kids one was in South Carolina, they were all split up. She had suggested selling the property, and the person that was initially going to buy it backed out. So Barb and I, my wife and I, were the next one on the list to purchase it. And our initial goal was, there was 87 acres there. We're going to fix the house up, remodel it, sell the house, and keep the 80 acres of land, is what our initial goal was.
And did she permit you to keep items that you owned on her property?
Yes.
You want to tell the jury what that arrangement was?
Well, she had a few things in the garage. She had two garages there, a big garage and a smaller, like a metal garage. She didn't have a lot of stuff left in the garages. She didn't have much stuff left in the house. And she made the arrangement that if we wanted to use the garage, because we had pull-behind mowers for the four-wheeler and snow plows and all that stuff. So she made the arrangement that if we wanted to put stuff in the garages, in the big garage, we could and use it. But there was no lock on it. So we had stuff, quite a bit of stuff in the garage.
On September 16, 2016, was she at home or was she gone?
She was gone.
And for how long had she been gone?
I couldn't tell you.
Do you know how long she was going to still be away?
No.
When she was gone, would you often check on the property?
Yes.
And regardless of whether she was gone, did you occasionally check on the property that you kept at her place?
Yes.
Why would you check on it?
Because it's around the corner of a coulee road, and there's no lock on the door, on the garage doors, and we had quite a bit of stuff in the garage of value.
So on the morning of September 16, 2016, did you have any intention to stop at her place?
We did stop there.
What time do you believe you and Barb left the house on September 16?
Quarter to 8.
Is that an approximation, or do you remember?
It's an approximation.
1 second. Mr. Kendhammer, can you hand me that exhibit? I'll put it back. Continue.
What'd you do after you set out?
We left the house. We stopped back there for a very brief time, and we started going down the road and talking. And
When you say stop back there,
to Barb Thompson's.
and what'd you do at Barb Thompson?
I got out and ran over and checked the garage.
Was everything okay?
Yes.
Then what'd you do?
Got back in the car. Ran over to the house.
What'd you do at the house?
Just made sure nothing was broke around the house. One winter, she had a window blowout, and it froze all her pipes, so she had to have all new plumbing put in. So we just kind of checked, make sure nothing's broke or nobody got in, because the house is locked.
After you checked the garage in the house or the shed in the house, what'd you do?
We got in the car and headed down the road.
And where were you headed?
We were headed over to Shufflebine Hill.
And what route did you take?
We went down County C to Osmus Road to County M.
How fast were you driving? Well, I should ask, do you remember how fast you were driving?
No.
How fast do you usually drive on that road?
It depends where it is. I mean, there's some sharp curves on it and stuff, but normally I do 55, 58.
Have any reason to think you weren't driving as you normally would, driving down Highway M on that particular day?
Because of the rain and the overcast and the fog, probably not so fast.
And is that what you recall about the weather that day?
Yes.
Did there come a time when you were on Highway M that you saw something unusual?
Yes.
And what was it that you saw?
I don't remember what it was. I thought it was a bird. I thought it was a pipe.
Well, when you were present in the courtroom when all the interviews of you were played, is that correct?
Yes.
And do you recall when you were first asked what happened, you said a pipe came through the windshield?
Yes.
And was that true? Did a pipe come through the windshield?
Yes, it is.
Did you hear yourself also say at various points you thought you saw a bird?
Yes.
Okay, and I want to ask you about this. Did you in fact think at some point that you thought you saw a bird?
Yes, I did.
How is it that, well, does a bird roll off of a moving truck?
No.
How is it that you thought you saw a bird, but it became a pipe rolling off a moving truck?
Because I didn't think a pipe could fly.
And after it came through the windshield, did you know what it was?
I did not immediately.
When did you perceive what it was?
I don't know.
You recall hearing testimony last week about where police officers estimated you had said the pipe came through.
Yes.
When you spoke to the police officers and answered their questions about everything that happened that day, including where your car was when the pipe came through, were you trying to be honest with them?
Yes.
What were you feeling that day?
I was feeling very emotional. I was feeling that I needed to get to Barb.
If I asked you today to tell me exactly where you were when that pipe came through the windshield, would you be able to do that?
No.
Could you approximate it?
I could approximate.
When you saw what you thought was a bird, what did you do?
I lunged forward.
You say you lunged forward. Can you show the jury what you did that day?
I can try to. I can't guarantee it.
When you lunged forward, were you even thinking about it?
No.
So, as best you can, what did you show the jury what you did? And by the way, were you belted into your seat?
No.
Was Barb belted into her seat?
I don't remember.
What was Barb's usual practice?
She always wore her seatbelt. I never wear mine. And we always talked about it because my son doesn't wear his because of me. And she always said I should start wearing mine so he would wear his.
But you never did.
No.
Show the jury.
It was, I had the hands on the wheel, and I lunged like this.
Do you know if you were fully seated when you did that, or whether you rose out of your seat?
I don't know.
Do you know what your right hand was doing?
I do not know.
Do you recall in the interviews that were played that at one point you said you lunged with both hands?
I do recall that.
Do you recall that at one point you said your right hand was on the steering wheel?
I do recall that.
Do you recall which it was?
I do not recall.
After you lunged, tell the jury what happened.
After I lunged, the pipe come through the windshield. Everything happened so fast. Barb started flailing and moving around. And I was to the coulee road, so I quick turned onto the coulee road. And I thought I put the car into park, but I apparently put it into reverse. And that's how I ended up in the ditch the way I did.
Do you know how long that took?
I do not.
Do you recall looking at Barb during that time that you were still driving?
Yes.
What do you recall seeing?
All I can recall is I had to reach out to push her back up. She kept trying to come over towards me.
And do you recall with which hand you reached out?
My right hand.
Do you recall anything else?
No.
Do you recall in the interviews you said she was flailing around?
Yes.
Do you recall that?
Yes.
How was she flailing around?
She was almost like she was limp. Like she had no control of her muscles.
When you got over to the side or the berm of the road on Burgham Coulee, did you intend to put the car in park?
Yes.
And I believe you said you put it in reverse instead?
Yes.
Do you recall the shift of the car going into reverse?
No, I do not.
Do you recall how I if at all, you stopped it from going into reverse?
No, I do not.
What, if anything, do you remember next?
I remember getting out of the car. I walked around the back of the car. I opened her door, and she was leaning forward, and the door wouldn't stay open.
You said the door wouldn't stay open. Were you between the door and Barb?
Yes.
And what was the door doing?
It wouldn't. It wanted to keep coming shut on me.
And what was your intent in being at the car door?
I wanted to get Barb out. She wasn't moving at the time.
Do you remember whether you were able to see whether she was breathing or not?
No, I do not. I don't remember.
So tell the jury what you recall you did.
I opened the door. The door kept wanting to shut. The pipe was hanging there. I don't know how many times I tried to jar the door open. I couldn't get the door to stay open. The pipe was in the way. I reached under. I had to get rid of the pipe, so I don't know if I threw the pipe or set it down. I don't know what I did with the pipe, but I got it out of the way. I tried to reach under Barb to lift her out of the car, and I couldn't. It was on the incline in the mud in the door. I couldn't get under her to get her out. Something was caught. So I jarred the door open. I don't know how it stayed open, but it finally stayed open. And I got a hold of her. I got a hold of Barb, and I tried to pull her out, and something was caught.
Do you remember how you got hold of her?
All I know is I got around her because I couldn't get her out. Something was caught on her in the car.
When you said I got around her, folded your arms one over the other.
She wasn't a very big person.
So did you reach around her with both arms?
Yes.
And when you reached around her, do you recall whether you were front to front or back to front?
I don't recall.
So what'd you do next?
I tried to take her out. I think I tried to take her out nicely, but I couldn't get her out. Something caught. So I gave a tug. And when I did, we fell backwards. And she landed on me, and I rolled her off of me. And I started doing CPR on her.
And when you fell backwards, where were you located?
Well, I was, my feet were right at the foot of the front of the door, right in the bank, so I fell straight backwards from there.
So would your heads have been near the right rear wheel?
Yes.
You said you rolled her off and began to give CPR, correct?
Yes.
When you fell backwards, was she on top of you?
Yes.
What kind of CPR did you begin to give her?
Chest compressions.
At some point, you called 911, is that correct?
Yes.
Why didn't you call them immediately?
I don't know.
Do you remember what you were thinking?
No.
Do you remember even having a thought process at that time?
No.
We heard the 911 calls. Do you recall there came a time when you said something to the effect of, wait, I have to do something with her?
Yes.
What did you do with her?
I moved her.
How did you move her?
When we come out of the car and fell, I rolled her off the side of me a little bit towards the car, and it was just a little bit of an incline in the berm in the ditch. And when I started doing CPR, she started bleeding more.
Where was she bleeding from?
Out of her nose and mouth, and it started out of her ear. So that's apparently when I thought to call 911. And when I did, I realized that she was tipped down a little bit, and I needed to turn her. I thought maybe that's why she was starting to bleed more.
How did you turn her?
I don't recall.
In what direction did you turn her?
I turned her head towards the road.
In order to turn her head towards the road, did you have to move her body?
Yes.
Do you have any recollection of how you moved her body?
I do not.
At some point during that second 911 call, you scream at the 911 operator that the responder has gone past you.
Yes.
Could you see the responder?
No.
How did you know the responder had gone past you?
I heard him go by.
And when you say you heard him go by, did he have a siren?
Yes.
You recall the testimony of Randy Erler,
Yes.
who said that he drove past your car on Bergen Coulee Road that morning?
Yes.
Did you see him go past your car?
No.
Until the first responder arrived, was anybody other than you and Barb near the automobile?
No.
And until the first responder arrived, did you remain with Barb?
Yes.
And did you remain in the ditch?
Yes.
Did you take her head and bash it against the wheel rim?
No.
Did you take a pipe and beat her with it in any way?
No.
Did you take that Bubba mug and smash her in the face with it?
No.
Did you take any item, whether it was an object or your fist, and hit Barb?
No,
Have you ever hit Barb?
never raised my voice to Barb. Never hit her either.
You were asked in the interview at the La Crosse County Sheriff's Office numerous times to explain the injuries that she had that day. Do you recall that?
Yes,
And do you recall that you were unable to do so?
yes,
You a physician,
no,
accident reconstructionist?
no,
You a biomechanic?
no,
You a pathologist?
no.
Do you know how she got all of the injuries on her body?
From the accident, from the accident that day.
Mr. Kendhammer, I asked you a question this morning about the distance to Shufflebine Hill, and I don't know if I was specific enough, so let me just go back there. From your home to Shufflebine Hill, in minutes, how long would it take to get there in an automobile?
Maybe 8 to 10 minutes.
From County Highway M and Bergham Cooley Road, how long would it take to get to the bottom of Shufflebine Hill in an automobile?
From where on County M? From
At the intersection of County
Bergham
M
Cooley.
and Bergham Cooley.
maybe a minute or two.
Back on September 16 of last year, did you know anyone who lived on Bergham Cooley Road?
Yes, I did.
Who did you know that lived on Bergham Cooley Road?
I know Steve and Kathy Petronic and Ryan and Cassie Rothering.
What's the last name?
Rothering?
Rothering? While you were with Barb on that day on Bergham Cooley Road, was there ever a time that you opened the trunk of your vehicle?
I don't remember.
When you got to the hospital, eventually, was there ever a time that you left the hospital until Barb passed away?
No.
Where were you in the hospital?
It was either in her room with her or out in the waiting area.
Who else was present in the hospital with you?
I couldn't name all the people.
During that time when you were with her in the hospital, did you ever hold her hand?
Yes,
How frequently did you do that?
quite a bit.
Did your children ever hold her hand?
Yes,
Did medical personnel ever touch her hands?
yes.
Why didn't you leave her side?
I did once in a while when the medical people would come in and do something. They would ask me to leave.
Did you sleep at the hospital?
I didn't sleep, but I stayed there.
Did there come a time when personnel at the hospital told you that there was nothing more they could do?
Yes.
Who informed you of this?
I don't recall the doctor's name.
Do you recall what you were told?
Not exactly.
Did you ask for a second opinion?
There was several specialists there at the time.
And did you talk to them as well?
I spoke to one of them.
And do you recall what you were advised?
I could not say exactly no.
Did there come a time when you learned that her brain would not recover from the insult?
Yes.
Were you asked to make a decision about whether to unhook her from machines that were keeping her alive?
No.
Was that just done?
Yes.
Did there come a time when, prior to that being done, you were given time to be with her?
Yes.
And in that time, what did you do?
I just talked to her and held her hand and gave her a kiss. And
when you talked to her, what did you say?
I told her that I loved her too, and I'd always take care of her mom.
You said, I love you too?
Yes.
Why did you say I love you too?
Because Barbara and I knew each other so well that we didn't say I love you and I love you because we always said it together, so it was always a love you too. And whenever we'd text or something, that was always what it was.
Did you go home that evening?
No, I did not.
Why didn't you go?
I didn't want to go home without Barb there.
Where did you go?
I went to my mom's house.
Did you go home the next day?
No,
Where did you go?
my mom's house again.
On that first night you spent at your mom's house, did you sleep?
No,
On the next night at your mom's house, did you sleep?
no,
On the following day, did you go home?
yes,
On the following day, when you were at home, did you have people around you?
yes.
Who was there for you?
It was Jessica, Jordan, Michael, Carlin, Amanda, Lori, my mom. I can't remember who else. There's a whole bunch of people there.
On that next night, did you sleep?
If I did, it was very little.
After her death and before the funeral, did you ever go back to the site where this occurred?
Yes.
Did you go there alone?
No.
With whom did you go?
Amanda, Michael, Jess, and Jordan.
And what was your purpose in going there?
We got a basket, a wicker basket with some flowers in it. And we just took it over there.
And did you leave it there?
Yes, we did. We wrote the whole thing on it and left it on the roadside.
The funeral was to be held on Friday.
Yes.
On Thursday, how much sleep had you had?
Not much.
On Tuesday and Wednesday, I believe you said you had family around. Is that correct?
Yes.
On Thursday, did you leave the home?
Yes, I did.
Why did you leave the home?
I got up in the morning. I went down to a friend of mine's shop. He's got a bunch of woodworking tools there, and we did a bunch of woodworking. And I wanted to make a craft for the funeral.
And what was the craft you wanted to make?
It was a 3-foot by 4-foot pine heart. I glued all the boards together, and I cut a big heart out of it. And I painted it black and distressed it like her hutch at home. And I put a bunch of pictures and a poem with her handprint on it.
You said like her hutch at home?
I made her a big hutch at home. She found her up to Cranfest one year and asked if I could make her one, so I made one for her.
And how far along were you on that project when you received the phone call?
I don't remember. I've been working on it for probably 3 hours.
What were you like that morning?
I couldn't tell you. I probably shouldn't have been running power tools. It was the first time I was alone.
Were you crying?
I cried a lot.
Do you find it difficult to cry in front of other people?
I do.
We all heard the recording of the phone conversation between you and Investigator Yates. After you received this phone call, what did you do?
I shut everything off, got in the car, and drove down there.
When you walked into the interrogation room, you said something about not having taken your medication. Do you recall that?
Yes, I do.
What medication were you taking?
Appraisal.
And had that been prescribed for you?
Yes.
What did that do for you?
It's supposed to, calm me down and not make me so... it's kind of like a... I don't know what they call it.
Is it what's called an anti-anxiety
Anxiety, yeah.
medication?
Yeah.
And did you take that? Is that what you took after you entered the interrogation room?
Yes.
Now, in the film that we saw of that, one could see your legs shaking. Do you
Yes.
recall that?
Yes, I do.
Is that something that was unique to that day?
No, it's not.
Can you explain to the jury about that?
My, I don't know if it's called Restless Leg Syndrome or what it is, but if you watch our son Jordan, our daughter Jessica, if you watch my brother John or his kids, I think our whole family does it. Sometimes it's a little more distinct than others, but we've always done it. And it's just, I don't do it now, but we do. I mean, we've always done it.
When you say don't do it now, are you on medication?
Yes, I am.
Have you been on medication since Barb's death?
Yes, I have.
And what is that medication?
I don't recall what it is right offhand.
Is it also an anti-anxiety drug?
Yes, but I have to take it daily.
And since you've been taking it, has it calmed your leg?
It has calmed my leg, yes.
During the interrogation of you, there came a point when you were asked about Barb's clothing on that day. Do you recall that?
Yes, I do.
I'm going to show you what's been marked as Exhibit 206. You want to take that up and hold it up and take a look at it? Do you recognize that?
Yeah.
Now, that isn't Barb's shirt.
No,
Is that like the one she was wearing on that day?
this is their Friday shirt.
And is that what she was wearing that Friday?
Yes.
And when you were asked about that shirt, do you recall that you said, "Are you insinuating that I had something to do with Barb's death?" Do you recall that?
I do recall that.
Is that the first time that it occurred to you that someone might be thinking that?
It occurred to me, yes, but yes, it is the first time.
While you were being interrogated, you were told that search warrants were being executed at your home.
Yes.
And while you were being interrogated, you were being told that they were finding bills at your home.
Yes.
And on that day, was there anything about your bills that you thought you needed to hide from anyone?
No.
Anything about your bank records that you thought you needed to hide?
No.
Has there ever been anything about your bills or bank records that you thought you needed to hide from anyone?
No.
Eventually, did you learn that the police had searched your computer?
Yes.
Anything on your computer that you thought you needed to hide?
No.
Eventually, did you learn that the police had searched your cell phone?
Yes.
Anything on that
No.
you thought you needed to hide?
No.
Eventually, you learned, or did you learn, that the police had searched Barbara's cell phone?
Yes.
Was there anything that you might have texted her that you thought you needed to hide?
No.
Did you learn that all of your automobiles were searched?
Yes. I offered to let them search my one at the courthouse.
And were you concerned that there was anything that needed to be hidden?
No.
Did you learn that the police searched your email?
Yes.
Is there anything about your email about which you were or are concerned?
No.
Did you learn that the police eventually searched your Facebook account?
Yes.
And is there anything on that Facebook account about which you were or are worried?
No.
If the police searched all of your text messages, would they find any evidence of any dispute between you and your wife?
No.
Would they see texts between the two of you in which each of you said to the other, "I love you too"?
Yes.
Mr. Kendhammer, I noticed on your left hand you wear a wedding ring.
Yes.
Is that yours and Barb's wedding ring?
Yes.
Why do you continue to wear it?
I'm married to Barb.
After Barb passed away, there was organ donation. Do you recall that?
Yes.
Did you give permission for the organ donation?
Yes.
Is the organ donation something about which you and Barb had talked with one another prior to her death?
Long prior to, yes.
And tell me about that discussion. When did it occur?
I couldn't tell you when it was. It was years prior. We had talked about it.
And in that discussion, did Barb express to you her desire one way or the other to have or not have organ donation?
We had both talked about it, yes. Barb was always, ever since I've met Barb, she's always been the person to help the next person, or the person to help that chicken or that horse or donkey or whatever it might be. Put the chickens in the garage every winter was something that we did every year. She didn't want the chickens. They were 9 years old. We had 2 left, and she didn't want them to be out in the cold, so we'd make little crates for them and put chips in there, and we'd put them in the garage every winter. And that's just the person that she was. She always wanted to help the next person or the next animal.
And so what was her decision about organ donation?
to be a donor.
And so did you have to give your consent for
Yes.
her organs to be donated?
Yes,
Is that why you gave your consent?
yes.
Did you love Barb?
Yes,
Did you love her on September 16 of last year?
yes, I still do.
Did you ever do anything to physically hurt Barb?
No, I never have ever done anything to my wife.
Have you ever lost your temper with her?
No, never ever lost my temper with Barb.
I have no further questions. Thank you, Judge.
Thank you, Mr. Hurley.